Hello, people. Sorry about being so late. You're probably wondering when I'm going to do the next video. Well, I must tell you, though, it's pretty difficult. I didn't think it would be this hard. You know that I have 6 boys and 2 daughters and 16 grandchildren. So knowing that, these kids all want my time, right? And then I still work part-time for my son. I still go to Vancouver Island the odd time. So my life is consumed with a lot of stuff. A lot of kids of mine and other people say, hey, you don't look 75. Well, the trick to that is keep working, try and keep busy. And believe me, I'm busy, and I still have a wife of 50 years, so she keeps me busy quite a bit. Anyway, so I apologize for not getting this video out sooner. I'm so sorry about that. I know I want to do the life story of myself, but I better hurry up before I kick the bucket. Otherwise, I'll be halfway there and then I'll be dead. Say, hey, that's a terrible movie. Never saw the end. I would have said the same thing. Anyways, my wife is in Costco right now doing some shopping, so here I am sitting out in the parking lot because I'm a man. I don't like shopping. Don't like buying clothes. My kids all have nice clothes. Look at my clothes. They look like I just come out of the Salvation Army food bank. Don't have a big fancy car. My kids have all that. Don't want it. Don't have a fancy house. No fancy car. No fancy clothes. My shoes are from Walmart. Everything. I just don't need it. Look at my haircut. I just got my haircut. Would you believe it? I told the guy, I says, hey. I says, my wife doesn't want it short. Look at how short it is. What was that guy? He must have been part Indian. He tried to scalp me. Hey, what a guy. Anyways, I even left him a tip. But I never go back there again, I'll tell you. If I go back there and said, make it short, I'll come out bald looking like Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone. No, not him. Yul Brynner. He was a bald-headed guy. Anyways, so I just wanted to thank you for checking in on my video. Anyways, I tell you a little bit about myself right now. I'm 75. July the 4th, I'll be 76. I was born in a little town called Long Lac, Ontario, which is way up north in 1949. Believe me, there was just a dirt road going in there and a train that went through it. And I guess that's how my mother got there in Long Lac, Ontario by train. From what I heard, our dad was working up there in Long Lac, Ontario, so my mother had to take us kids there. But at that time, before we went there, she was living in a little town called, I think it was Beardmore, Ontario, because that's where my sister was born. So from Beardmore to Long Lac, it's basically about 70 miles. So you can imagine 70 miles in those days, how long it took, because she didn't have a car. So, yes, so we lived there. That's where my sister June lived at that time. She was born there, and I was born in Long Lac, 70 miles away. But our dad had worked in Long Lac as what they call a river driver. Well, a river driver in the 30s and 40s was a person that worked in the lumber industry. What they did is they felled trees down in the woods, and then they would have horses that dragged the trees to the river, and they would set them in the river, tie them all up in booms, and then when they started driving as the logs down the river, they would make tents, and they would put them on top of these great big booms, and they would put tents and everything and cook shacks and everything, and then they would take all the logs down the river, across the lake and stuff like that, all the way down to, I think they took it at that time down to Marathon, Ontario. So it was a long jaunt, maybe about a month for them to get all that stuff down the river. But that's what they did. They lived on these things like you saw in the early movies. River drivers, that's what he was. And they had spikes on their shoes, and they would roll these logs and stuff and all that stuff. That's what my adopted father did, Ken Holt. I found out years later that he was not really my dad, which is okay. My mother named me after after his last name. I don't know where the name Dennis come from, but it's too late now because all my grandmothers and aunts and uncles are all dead now. My mother, who lived to 100, she just passed away about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago in Thunder Bay, Ontario. What a lovely lady. But I'll tell more about her later on in my life here. But that's where I was born, Long Lac, Ontario. My brother Ken was 6 years older than me. He was born in Broadview, Saskatchewan. My sister June was born in 46. She was born in Beardmore, Ontario. I was born in Long Lac in 1949. My brother Roy, he was born in Dryden, Ontario in 1951. And my brother Gilbert was born in 1953 in Thunder Bay, Ontario. My mother had other children, births, but she couldn't have children anymore because she was an alcoholic. My mother had told my wife, as of still today, she had told her that the way they did abortions in those days, they used to jump off the roof. Can you imagine having an abortion, jumping off a roof? So that's what she told my wife. For her abortion, she used to jump off the roof. My mother was kind of a woman that liked to go out drinking a lot, so she drank quite a bit. So basically, as children, we just raised ourselves. It was hilarious. Yeah, wait till you hear some of the stories. Anyways, I'm so happy you people are looking up my videos. I'm not getting paid any money from this, which is fine with me too. Besides, if you did send me money, I would probably just give it to the homeless or buy meals for single mothers with their children, because that's what I like doing. My kids tell me that I give all my stuff away. I'm not taking nothing with me, so who really cares? I'm not going to see a U-Haul behind my hearse when I go to the grave. And if you dig the grave up, you're not going to see nothing in there either. Just a pile of bones, dead old bones. What else could I tell you? My dad was a half-breed. I'm a status Indian. I have 10 numbers on my status card number, so I got that back in 1985 because my mother was disenfranchised by the Indian ban. And then when an Indian woman left the reserve and married a white man, she no longer was an Indian. But Indian man, when he married an Indian woman, she got status card. So there was a lot of discrimination in those days. But we still have discrimination nowadays anyways. That's never ever going to stop. But you know, whatever it is, right? Let's all just try and get along in life and do the best we can. Anyways, I don't want to keep you people that long, but I will post another video as soon as possible. I want to speak to you young people out there, anywhere from the age of 12 and up. You know, you got a mother and dad. You should be so happy you have a mother and dad. And if you just have a mother, or if you're just living with a dad, you know, remember, they're just trying to do the best that they can. You don't really know how they were raised, because they're raising children that doesn't come with, what do you say, a book, how to raise children. A lot of people write books nowadays, how to raise children, but I bet they don't even get it right. So just try your best. And your kids, listen to your mom and dad. And when you go to bed at nighttime, tell your mother you love her. Tell your dad that you love her, love him. Because they work day and night to feed and clothe you. Some of those dads that are gone too on long journeys and stuff like that. And sometimes you say, well, Dad, you're not there. You know, when you're sitting at that table, the food that you're eating is what your dad and your mom put on that table. So they are there. And the clothes you wear to go to school and the boots you wear on your feet, they were there. Not personally, but they're there on your feet and they're there on your back. They supply that. They're giving their lives up for you. And you dads that aren't providing for your children, my good God. You dads that are, they call you deadbeat dads. I hate to say it, but I got a brother that's a deadbeat dad. So I know what I'm talking about. Always try and be there for your children. Get a hold of them or something. Talk to them. Tell them you love them. Just be there. Don't buy gifts. These kids don't want gifts. They just want your time. My dad never gave us time. But that's fine. I forgive my dad for what he did to us. And I'll tell you later on the stories what he did to us. It wasn't very nice. But anyways, I was standing over his grave in Edmonton, Alberta. That's where he's buried. I found out where he was, but I found out he really wasn't my dad. But anyways, when I stood over his grave, I was going to go there and say some bad things because what he did. But I didn't. I just stood over the grave, and it's amazing. The power of God spoke to me. He says, forgive him. So I said into the grave, I said, you know, Dad, I said, if you were here, I would give you a big hug and tell you I forgive you. And just go on. I didn't want to leave any anger or bitterness there, so I left it at his gravesite. I kind of believed that he heard me, but he was an awful man. But I don't want to speak awful about him. But there is some things I'll tell you what he did. It wasn't very nice, but when you think about it, if he did that to us, what must have happened to him? And also to young people again, please, when you go to school, try your best, okay? You're on a journey. Your journey's only just begun. You kids that are 12 and 14 and a little older, remember, I'm 75. You guys got another 50 years, 60 years to catch up to me. You got 60 years of life ahead of you. Live it to the best that you can. Don't do anything wrong. Try and stay out of trouble. Don't follow the crowd. When I was growing up, we had a crowd, and the crowd was where I grew up in Thunder Bay. Most of the guys that I hung around with were bank robbers, murderers, gangsters, drug dealers. I even worked for two guys that belonged to the mafia. Our friends were at that time were part of the Satan's Choice, and we even have members that were part of the Hells Angels. But I never became part of that. I never wanted it. They were my friends, yes, but I didn't want to do what they did. I saw what happened in their lives. Most of them are dead, and I'm still here. So this shows you something. Try and do good in your life. You single mothers out there, you know what? I have the greatest respect for you single mothers who are raising your children. What a hard job you have. I can't even imagine waking up 24/7. You know, you guys out there, a mother's job never ends. It's 24 hours around the clock. And they don't get paid. A lot of them are on welfare, just barely making, can barely feed for the clothes or buy clothes for the kids. You men out there, if you're looking at this, if you see a mother or a child in let's say a Walmart or a superstore, you single men out there, reach into your pocket, say, hey, I got this for you. Give her $50. $50 for a guy is nothing. He can go out and make some more money. Help these single mothers out there that have children. And you will be blessed. You will be blessed more than her. $50 is nothing. In this day and age, you can't even buy a New York steak at a Kegs restaurant or something like that. And look at the little children look at their shoes and stuff. They're not wearing the $200 shoes or the $300 shoes or the designer name blank coats and stuff like that. So if you see them, say, hey, or if you see them at a Tim Hortons or a restaurant, go up to them and say, yo, boy, I love your beautiful little children. You look so fine, lady. You know what? I'm going to buy your meal today. And just buy her the meal. And the only reason I do this, I remember this guy in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I was about 8 years old or 9 years old, and I'm walking up the street. And I had really bad shoes on. My runners were like black ones. Nowadays, you pay a lot of them for them. And I remember I was walking out the street, and this guy pulled up beside me. In those days, it was okay. Pulled up beside me. Hey, kid. So I go out there and say, yeah. Hi, how are you doing? You know, like a little kid, I didn't know what to do. He said, can I take you downtown, Port Arthur, and buy you something? And I guess I never knew anything better. So I hopped in his car and away I went. We went downtown Port Arthur. Went to some stores, and this guy bought me socks, shoes, clothes, and everything. And to this day, I still remember that guy. Here I am, 75, and thinking about when I was 8 years old. So that's 67 years ago. This guy did that for me. And when he did that to me, I went home and I showed my brother Ken, hey, let's go find that guy. Let's go find that guy. See if he'll buy me something too. Because we used to go shopping late at night, me and my brother Roy, we used to steal clothes off the clothesline. They would put clothes on ourselves. Hey, it was crazy. In the wintertime, we used to take these frozen pants off. Like, you know, you're talking 10, 20 below zero. Nobody had dryers in those days. So we sneak in the yard, we take these clothes and socks that were hanging on the clothesline, and we'd be running home with these clothes that were frozen. My mom would say, where'd you get that from? You don't want to know, Mom. So we would thaw them out of the house, and there was that clothes, pants, socks, and shirts. It was crazy. We used to dig all this up from everybody else's clotheslines. I got one more story. And in the 50s, it was the 50s, they used to have these bottles, milk bottles, and they used to put them on the doorway, right? So they put 10 cents or a nickel in the bottle, and the milkman would come by, and he'd go to the bottle, take the bottle, take the nickel out, took the nib in his pocket away, and he'd leave this quart of milk there. It was in a tall, one quart jug glass, and there was no nickel in there. We used to go steal the nickels out of these bottles all down the street. People were wondering why they never got their milk. So then about 6 months later, they started doing those little tokens. So there was no sense taking those tokens. I guess we started a new fad, putting plastic in the bottle instead. But anyways, we had spending money. That was hilarious. It's amazing how we got our money in those days. But anyways, that's just a little short stories. And something for you kids to think about. Listen to your mother, listen to your dad. Because I wish I would have. I really wish I would have. But I didn't. And things went very drastically wrong for us as kids. But we had a dad that didn't do nothing for us. We had a mother that was an alcoholic. But I still loved my mother. Even if she was an alcoholic, still loved her. I don't talk bad about her. She was a good woman. Yeah, and I loved her right to the very end. And I loved my brothers, and I loved my sister right to the end. I remember that now as I go through life. I remember all my friends, and you older men, that when you see a single mother out there, or a married mother with children, reach into your pocket and take 20 bucks out, or 50 bucks, or buy a meal or something. You don't need anybody to blow a trumpet. Just do something like that. Because you never know. It could be a little Indian boy out there that's having a hard time, has gone through a tough life. We all go through tough lives. But try and do the best that you can. And the next video you're going to see, I'm going to start talking about our Indian heritage, where we started in southern Saskatchewan. A place called the Cypress Hills, southern Saskatchewan, that's where we all started from. And in that beginning, I'm going to talk about Sitting Bull, a great chief who was in the 1870s, had that big battle with General Custer. Well, he lived with our people, the Cowessess people in southern Saskatchewan, in the Cypress Hills. And so did Louis Riel. Louis Riel was there too. I have letters from my great aunt, Harriet Silman. She wrote letters of what happened, how she came up from Montana and stuff like that. So there's that. There's going to be Louis Riel. There's going to be James Gaddy, who was put in the gallows in Regina. Sitting Bull, McLeod, Sir Johnny MacDonald, Dickinson. All these guys had a part of the Cowessess First Nation. These people made a lot of money off the Indians. And I'm going to talk about the annuity, how we were to get $5 every year, how other different bands came in together and also how they tracked off in a train to go to Ottawa to sign the treaties. And we're going to hear how I traveled all the way across Canada, across Mexico, and the United States. I was a truck driver for 54 years, and how my wife put up with this ungodly man for so many years. It was the prayers of my faithful wife that made me a Christian. If it wasn't for her, I would have been in prison along with all my friends too. She saw a lot of stuff. One last thing. One night we're in Surrey, BC, and our friends from across the street, my friends, came there. And my wife couldn't believe it. These guys are dangerous guys. One guy had a shotgun in his pants. He had just done a robbery, and another one was oh my goodness, his name was not John Dillinger, but Stone, Sam Stone, long dead, great big guy. He was another guy. These are all bad people there in Surrey area. This is going back to the 70s now. But anyways, this is all I'm going to say for now. And like I always say when I go close off, pray for me. Love your children. Children, love your parents. And forgive people that have harmed you in your way. Because you never know what kind of life they had either. I don't know what else to say right now. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for glory or anything. Because I know when things go on YouTube, it's there forever. So when I'm dead and gone, I hope my words can help some people out. And the greatest respect goes out to you single mothers and you single dads. Too bad we got a mixed up world right now where everybody gets divorced. It's a shame. Everybody gets divorced. My wife and I, like I said, we've been together for 50 years. She's the life and blood of me. She's a fantastic woman. She's given me 8 wonderful children, and I just thank God for her. Anyways, so sorry for not being able to give you guys all words of encouragement or something, or being like a Al Capone or something like that, or a Trudeau or a president of the United States. I'm just a plain, ordinary native boy that grew up tough environment. Now I'm old and I want to leave words to you that you can do things in your life. Anyways, love you people who's ever watching this. Probably not very many people, but if there isn't, that's okay. If I can help just one person, I succeeded. Just one person. You young people out there, at nighttime, leave your name and I will say a prayer for you at night. And I wish I was rich so I could send you something too, but I'm not. Anyways, God bless. My wife is calling me. I gotta go. Bye-bye.